The mic hit the floor with a hollow clang, echoing through the stunned silence of the Apollo Theater. Melody Jameson stood frozen under the spotlight, her hand still outstretched, her moment stolen live before millions. And as the crowd gasped, a smirking rapper turned her dream into a spectacle, unaware he had just lit the fire of her greatest rise. On a cold January evening in Harlem, under the glimmering lights of the historic Apollo Theater, the Unity Soul Music Awards promised a night of celebration, unity, and recognition. The red carpet pulsed with sequins, silk, and ambition. But for one young woman from Charleston, South Carolina, it was supposed to be the happiest moment of her life, the kind you dream of in church pews and bedroom mirrors, clutching a hairbrush mic and whispering, "One day." Melody Jameson was only 21, a rising gospel R&B singer known for her honey-smooth voice and a spirit as pure as morning prayer. She had grown up under the loving but watchful eye of her grandmother, Miss Opal, who raised her after her mother passed and taught her that grace and grit were a girl's greatest weapons. That night, Melody stepped onto the stage in a soft rose-gold satin gown, her curls pinned just right, her eyes bright with disbelief. Her debut song, Heaven Hears Me, had swept through the charts like a slow-burning fire, a ballad of hope and healing that made grown men cry and church mothers testify. And now, she was holding her first award, Best Inspirational Music Video. The applause thundered around her like a heartbeat. She approached the microphone, fingers trembling against the cold metal. Her voice, warm and steady, slipped from her lips like a hymn. This means more than I can put into words," she began, eyes glistening. "To my Grandma Opal, to every young girl who ever sang in a small choir thinking nobody heard you, God hears you. And tonight, so does the world." But before she could utter another word, the moment split like glass under pressure. Rico Blaze stormed onto the stage. The crowd gasped. Cameras whipped toward him like startled eyes. Rico, 28 years old, 6 feet tall, infamous for his lyrical bravado and social media feuds, swaggered with a chain swinging like a pendulum of chaos across his chest. His dreads were slicked back, his gold grills gleaming under the spotlight. Without hesitation, he yanked the mic from Melody's hand. "Yo, Melody, I'm real happy for you," he said, voice amplified, eyes gleaming like a wolf who smelled blood. "But let's be honest, Kiana Ray had one of the best inspirational videos of all time." The audience froze. Gasps rolled through the crowd like thunder chasing lightning. The silence that followed was louder than any applause. Melody stood frozen, her hand still midair where the mic had been, lips parted in disbelief. Rico paced the stage like it belonged to him, feeding off the stunned energy. "Come on, y'all know it's true," he shouted with a laugh, tossing the mic back toward her like it was trash. It clattered to the ground, a sharp echo cracking through the auditorium. Melody didn't flinch. Her face, a portrait of grace carved from stone, remained calm as she bent down, slowly, deliberately, and picked up the mic. Her fingers trembled, but her spine was straight. Before she could speak, another figure emerged from backstage. Valencia Cole. A legend. 42, elegant in a deep sapphire gown, braids cascading down her back like a crown. Her voice had once saved a generation, and now, it was about to save this moment. She stepped forward, took Melody's hand, and turned to the crowd. "This is her moment," she said, clear and firm. "Let her have it." The room exploded. Cheers shook the walls. Rico scoffed and strutted off like a child who'd thrown a tantrum and got bored. Melody finished her speech, short, sincere, holding back tears. But the cameras lingered on her eyes, capturing the storm behind her calm. The internet didn't sleep that night. Within hours, the moment had gone viral. 1,000 versions of the clip spread like wildfire. Some hailed Valencia as a queen, others laughed at Melody's stunned expression, editing her silence into cruel memes. "Church girl can't hang," one caption read. "Famous by accident," another sneered. The hashtags trended, hashtag Mike Snatch, hashtag Rico was right, hashtag Melody meme. The backlash came fast and vicious. Melody tried to carry herself with dignity, her social media filled with verses, sunsets, and quiet gratitude. But the world didn't care for quiet. Her team booked her a radio interview with DJ Flame, hoping to shift the narrative. Hot 104.3, New York's most unfiltered radio voice. DJ Flame was slick-tongued and always hunting for blood. Melody arrived in a soft gray sweater, natural curls framing her face, her smile polite. She expected a conversation. Instead, she walked into a trap. Melody Jameson, DJ Flame purred into the mic, "How does it feel to be the punchline of 2012? Before she could answer, he played a remix of Rico's mic-snatching moment on loop. The room burst into forced laughter. Callers chimed in, some mocking, some cruel, one even asking if she rehearsed looking shocked in the mirror. Melody's voice, when it came, was soft. "I'm not here for the noise," she said calmly. "I'm here for the music." DJ Flame laughed. "Music? You're famous for standing still, sis." The segment trended within hours. The clip of her blinking silently in the studio was turned into GIFs. Blogs ate it up. Comment sections overflowed with venom. Snake. Fraud. Go back to the choir. She became a joke overnight. Her record label went quiet. Sponsorships paused. "We're reevaluating branding alignment," one email read. Meanwhile, Rico and his girlfriend Savannah Royce, reality TV darling, influencer, and business mogul, capitalized on the chaos. Savannah posted a smug video sipping wine. "Melody? She told me herself she didn't mind. Said do whatever." The voice recording was grainy, unverified, but the damage was done. Fans turned. Even those who once supported her began to doubt. At a charity gala, Melody's name card was mysteriously missing. Executives who once shook her hand now looked through her. One junior manager whispered, "She's just not a safe bet anymore." Her sophomore album was delayed. Her tour was quietly canceled. Her face disappeared from magazine covers and playlists. One cruel headline read, "Melody Jameson, from choir girl to cautionary tale." Through it all, Melody stayed silent. She didn't clap back. Didn't rant. Didn't break. She simply disappeared. Rumors said she moved back to Georgia. That she worked at a coffee shop. That she was pregnant. That she was done. But the truth was, Melody wasn't gone. She was writing. She was rebuilding. She was waiting. Because sometimes the best notes come after the silence. And Melody Jameson? She was far from finished. But silence, as Melody Jameson would learn, doesn't protect you, it only gives people more space to rewrite your story without your voice in it. After the night the world watched her microphone be snatched and her dignity tested on live television, Melody didn't spiral. She didn't rage online or post cryptic subtweets. She didn't show up on talk shows crying into tissue paper scripts. She simply walked off that stage, her soft rose gold gown brushing the floor, and disappeared into the shadows, quiet, poised, and carrying the weight of 1,000 unspoken wounds. In the days that followed, the headlines didn't fade, they flared. They called her the silent saint, church girl gets checked, lucky nobody from nowhere. The memes multiplied. The moment she bent to pick up the mic was frozen, cropped, and captioned, "Me picking up my confidence after getting roasted in public." Some laughed. Some defended her. Most moved on. Her label didn't know what to do. One executive whispered behind closed doors, "She's soft. She'll never survive the industry storm." But Melody wasn't soft. She was still. There's a difference. Her sophomore album Light Bearer was supposed to reintroduce her as more than the girl with the mic snatch moment. It dropped in late 2013 with little fanfare. The songs were beautiful, rich, layered, deeply spiritual, but the press didn't care. Reviewers called it safe, forgettable, missing edge. Radio ignored it. Blog coverage barely scratched the surface. One cruel review wrote, "Melody Jameson delivers gospel lullabies for people who sleep through the storm." And the industry took that as gospel. When award season came, she wasn't nominated. When red carpets rolled out, her invites got lost in the shuffle. The few events she did attend, she stood alone, smiling at photographers who no longer raised their cameras. Then came the charity gala in 2014. She arrived in a deep maroon gown, elegant and hopeful. But when she reached the ballroom entrance, there was no name card. No seat. Just passing glances and cold shoulders. Executives she'd once shared prayer circles with suddenly pretended not to see her. One young A&R, drunk on free champagne and power, sneered, "Didn't get the memo, huh? You're yesterday's headline, honey." Melody smiled, said nothing, and left before dessert. Her driver didn't even ask why. He could see it in her eyes. The next morning, a blog posted a blurry photo of her walking alone in the parking lot. Caption: Melody Jameson, still trying to make fetch happen. That photo got more engagement than her album streams. By 2015, things grew colder. A fan meet and greet at a small Memphis record store ended in disaster when a group of college-age pranksters crashed the event. One of them wore a fake gold chain and shouted, "Yo Melody, Rico wants his mic back." Another tossed a plastic trophy at her table while live streaming it on social media. Their video went viral. Melody didn't respond. She signed the next CD like nothing happened. But that night, alone in her hotel room, she unplugged the TV, turned off her phone, and cried into her grandmother's old quilt. In early 2016, the humiliation resurfaced in full force. Rico Blaze, now basking in his third platinum album, dropped a surprise single titled Stage Stealer. The lyrics were brutal. The cover art was worse, an animation of him grabbing a microphone from a cartoonish Melody, wide-eyed and helpless. In the music video, he recreated the moment with an actress made to look like her, same rose gold gown, same shocked expression. He danced around her while rapping, "I made you famous, now fade into silence." The video hit 10 million views in a week. Rico laughed on interviews, claiming it was all in fun. "It's not personal, it's art," he said on the Real Talk podcast. But for Melody, it was deeply personal. Her DMs flooded with hate. "You're a joke. Rico carried your career. Why haven't you quit yet?" Her label panicked. Brand deals were quietly canceled. One major tour sponsor pulled out, citing public sentiment concerns. Her tour Strings of Grace was officially shelved. No announcement. Just erased. And then Savannah Royce entered the picture. Rico's girlfriend turned reality TV star, Savannah was sharp, glamorous, and vicious in heels. On her show Royce Realness, she aired a girls' night episode featuring a roundtable of influencers sipping rose and dissecting Melody's fall from grace. Savannah played a grainy voice recording, allegedly of Melody saying, "It's fine, do what you want." The context was unclear. The voice barely audible. But the damage was instant. Melody approved the joke, Savannah claimed with a smirk. "She's just salty because I made it iconic." The internet didn't care if it was true. They believed what was entertaining. Hashtags exploded again. Hashtag Melody lies. Hashtag Mike Drama Queen. Brands ghosted her. Her skincare sponsor dropped her, citing misalignment with brand values. A documentary she'd quietly filmed about faith and music was scrapped. By 2017, Melody had vanished from the spotlight completely. No tweets. No posts. No appearances. Tabloids speculated she'd moved to Georgia and was working as a barista. Others said she was in therapy. Or married. Or pregnant. Or broken. The truth was simpler. Melody had retreated to a small one-bedroom apartment in Atlanta. No team. No PR. No entourage. Just her, a second-hand guitar, a laptop with cracked hinges, and a notebook filled with verses that burned like coals under her fingertips. She worked nights, writing, recording, producing. No lights. No press. No pressure. Her neighbors didn't recognize her. At the corner grocery store, she was just a quiet girl who hummed while picking apples. She paid in cash, smiled politely. And every night, as the world forgot her, Melody remembered herself. She wrote about heartbreak and betrayal, about grace under fire, about screaming without making a sound. And slowly, painfully, a new sound began to rise, low, steady, and sharpened by survival. She named it Thornlight. But she wasn't ready. Not yet. Not until the world had forgotten her completely. Only then, she decided, could she reintroduce herself, not as the girl who stood still on stage, but as the woman who learned how to rise when no one was watching. And when she did, they would hear her roar. In the quiet of her Atlanta apartment, where the hum of traffic felt like distant applause and the walls were bare except for one framed photo of her grandmother, Melody Jameson sat cross-legged on the hardwood floor with her guitar in her lap and her heart clenched in silence. The world had forgotten her. But she hadn't forgotten who she was. The nights were long, her savings thin, and the industry colder than she'd ever known. But within that stillness, stripped of noise, stripped of fame, something powerful took root. She wasn't the girl in the rose gold gown anymore. She wasn't the headline, the punchline, or the meme. She was a woman who'd been buried under a scandal and found breath again in the dark. And in 2018, she let the world know. Without warning, without label backing or industry rollout, Melody uploaded a single to her reactivated Instagram with 3 words, "I'm still here." No teaser. No glossy promo. Just a link. The song was called Thornlight. It opened with silence, then a haunting hum, low and aching, like someone rising from a place too deep for words. The video was raw, Melody crawling through a graveyard, dress torn, mud streaked across her arms, her eyes wild but burning. Crimson roses bloomed behind her as she stood among the headstones, her voice rising like thunder through the fog. "They tried to bury me," she sang, "but I grew roots." The internet didn't know what hit it. Within 24 hours, Thornlight hit 1 million streams. Within a week, it trended on TikTok, with teenagers crying to the lyrics, stitching videos with captions like, "This is for anyone they tried to erase." Journalists scrambled. Blogs that had once mocked her now called it the comeback anthem of a generation. One tweet simply read, "Melody Jameson didn't just return. She resurrected." In 2019, she dropped her full album Velvet and Ashes, a collection of songs wrapped in fire and healing. From the pulsing anthem Blood Bloom to the aching ballad Letters I Never Sent. Each track told a story, of betrayal, of silence, of survival. Critics raved. Rolling Stone called it a phoenix's cry wrapped in gospel silk. Essence magazine put her on the cover with the headline, "The Woman Who Refused to Vanish." Grammy nominations followed, Best R&B Album, Best Inspirational Performance. But when the ceremony aired, her seat was empty. No dress. No red carpet. Just a camera lingering on the plaque that read Melody Jameson as silence filled the room. She didn't need to show up. Her absence said more than any speech could. In 2020, she founded her own label, Heart Root Records, dedicated to artists who'd been silenced, overlooked, or torn down. She signed 3 new voices that year alone, a spoken word poet from Baltimore, a gospel punk hybrid band from Detroit, and a 16-year-old violinist who once went viral for being bullied at school. Melody gave them what she never had, protection. Then came the tour. The Fire Within Me launched in spring 2021. The first show sold out in 4 minutes. Every city that followed, Atlanta, Chicago, Los Angeles, Paris, London, was the same, gone in minutes. Fans showed up not in glitter or merch, but in unity. Thousands wore roses in their hair or held them in their hands. When Melody stepped on stage in a simple black gown, no dancers, no flashy lights, just her and the mic, the crowd erupted like thunder meeting gospel. Mid-performance in London, she paused. The arena, 70,000 strong, fell into reverent hush. Her voice, when it came, was calm but unshakable. They tried to make me a joke, she said, scanning the sea of faces lit by phone flashlights like stars. You turned me into a voice. The screams were deafening. On social media, #MelodyReturns trended for weeks. Her speeches, her lyrics, her silence, they all echoed like scripture. Meanwhile, Rico Blaze unraveled. The man who once dominated charts now ranted on live streams, his beard overgrown, his eyes bloodshot. His follow-up albums tanked. He tweeted, "Conspiracy theories, got banned, reinstated, banned again." Sponsorships fled. His last tour sold so few tickets it was canceled after 3 shows. Then came his infamous meltdown at a low-budget music festival in Miami. Shirt-stained, slurring into a dead mic, he spotted a fan in a Melody Jameson t-shirt. Enraged, he threw his microphone into the crowd and shouted, "She's nothing without me. I made her." The clip went viral. Not in admiration, but in pity. Sponsors dropped him overnight. His label ghosted him. A trending thread summed it up: Rico tried to silence a rose. Now he's choking on the thorns. Savannah Royce didn't fare much better. Her skincare line collapsed after lawsuits revealed unsafe ingredients. Customers posted pictures of burns and rashes, tagging her in every horror story. Her reality show was canceled. A tell-all memoir sold less than 3,000 copies. In 2023, she appeared on a low-budget talk show, mascara running, her voice shaking. "I trusted the wrong man," she whispered. "And I hurt an innocent woman." But the internet didn't care. Comments flooded in, "Too late. You broke her. She rebuilt. This isn't forgiveness. This is karma." Melody, for her part, never responded. Not once. Not in interviews. Not in lyrics. She didn't speak their names. She didn't have to. In 2024, she returned to the place where everything had started, the Unity Soul Music Awards. 12 years had passed. This time, she wore a dark emerald gown that shimmered like forest fire, her curls free, her chin high. When they called her name for Album of the Year, for Roots and Ruins, her most personal and powerful project yet, the crowd stood before she even reached the stage. As she took the mic, a hush fell. And with the same calm that once steadied her trembling hands in 2012, Melody looked out across the room and said, "You didn't end my story. You helped me rewrite it." The room erupted. Not just in applause, but in something deeper. Vindication. Joy. A sense that justice, however late, had arrived. Outside the venue, fans flooded the sidewalks, chanting her name, holding roses, lighting the night with their phones. A video of her walking backstage, tears in her eyes but smiling, broke the internet. One tweet read, "She bloomed from the dirt they tried to bury her in." Melody Jameson is the blueprint. Rico watched it all unfold from a bar in Atlanta, his phone cracked, beer lukewarm, ignored. Savannah scrolled alone, notifications silent, sponsors gone. They were shadows now. Footnotes in a story they tried to control. But Melody? She was the headline. She was the voice. She was the storm. She didn't just return. She rebuilt. And when she sang Now, the world didn't just listen. The world rose with her. As the author of Melody Jameson's story, I want to take a moment to speak directly to you, not as a storyteller, but as someone who understands what it means to feel silenced, misunderstood, or even erased. Melody's journey wasn't just about music. It was about identity, resilience, and reclaiming a voice that others tried to steal. We live in a world where public humiliation can be instant, and recovery feels impossible. A single moment, captured on camera or twisted into a headline, can reduce a person's truth to someone else's entertainment. But as Melody's story shows, what the world uses to break you can also become the very soil you grow from, if you stay rooted in who you are. The lesson here isn't revenge. It's redemption. Not through shouting louder, but through standing firmer. Melody didn't fight fire with fire, she didn't need to. She fought it with faith, with focus, and with the quiet, powerful decision to rise on her own terms. While others chose spectacle, she chose substance. While they chased headlines, she chased healing. So if you've ever been counted out, laughed at, or told that you're not enough, remember this: the people who mock you do not get to define you. Your silence is not weakness. Your pause is not the end. It might just be the beginning of something stronger, deeper, and far more meaningful than what they ever imagined. Sometimes the most powerful comeback isn't the one they see coming. It's the one that arrives without warning, fully bloomed, built from roots they never saw growing. From the team at US Edifying Stories, we want to thank you for watching, listening, and standing with voices like melodies. Your support brings power to these stories, stories that reflect pain, perseverance, and the quiet courage so many people carry in their hearts. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe. Let's keep telling the truths that too often go untold. And if you've ever felt like Melody, left in the dark, pushed aside, or buried, just know, there's light in you still. And the world hasn't heard the last of your voice. Thank you for being here.